A fireside chat with Yellow Productions. This is a holiday edition, and it's one of my annual Q&A editions. So we're here at this fireside chat because today is the day after Christmas. I'm so glad all of you could join me today. We're right here by the fire, and in the background, this is right here in my editing studio, so you might see a little bit on the screen back here of what's going on that I might have to tinker with every once in a while as we put the comments up on the screen. So being a live chat and open Q&A, well, that's what this is about. This is about me answering your questions, whatever question you have, whether it's a question about me, whether it's a question about a destination. Ask away, because that is what we are here to do. And by the way, if this is your first time on one of these live streams, this is a special time and day. I'm doing this at 3 p.m. the day after Christmas. I typically do these at 8 p.m. on Mondays, so if you want to find future live streams, make sure to subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications, and then you'll be notified of these future live streams. And we got lots of people on the live stream right now, so welcome. Thanks everybody for joining in. There are some folks, including Bonkers About Alice, that said, hey, it's 11 p.m. here in England, and that's a little too late for me, but I look forward to the replay. So sounds good there for the replay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and answer a few questions that I got when I posted the video, but then those of you that are on, please ask your questions, because that's what I'll be doing, answering those. So one of the questions I got was a question about what restaurants in Vegas do I recommend for views? And actually somebody else answered that question in the comments, but one of the ones I recommend is at the Paris Hotel in the Eiffel Tower. There's like a view restaurant there that has good views. Also, we've actually never eaten there because it's kind of pricey, but if you want to get a good view and not spend much money, if you go into the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and you go up to the lobby level, there's like a bar right there in the lobby. You probably don't even have to go to get a drink to see the view, but the views are really nice at the Las Vegas Strip there. I think that's one of the places to get one of the best pictures of the Las Vegas Strip. All right, so first question from this live stream right here goes to Tanner Wilson, and he says, which destinations are trending up and trending down for 2020? Trending up in my mind, or just trending in the world? Something that I would say as probably a trend in travel or tourism is related to places that are over touristy. I think this year, in the last couple of years, places being too touristed or over touristy has become a trend. Places like Venice, Italy. So I think while those places are trending up in visitors, I think they're trending down in popularity, and I think people are trying to find places more off the beaten path. So for example, everybody knows you go to Spain to go to Barcelona or Madrid, but maybe people don't think of Lisbon in Portugal as some place that's off the beaten path. We recommend Portugal. We did a couple years ago. It was a great destination. And being a fireside chat today, instead of drinking iced tea, I'm drinking hot tea. This is hot tea from Harrods, an Earl Grey tea that we picked up on our last trip to London. And it came with some of these neat mugs as well. All right, so Tanner, thank you for the question. Let's go to the next question. Village Idiot asks, I'm curious when and how you caught the travel bug. Great question. And actually, that would be when I met OC Girl. I think she gave me the travel bug. It was probably contagious. And before her and I met, I didn't really travel all that much. I'd go to like Las Vegas, obviously, maybe Mexico, growing up in Southern California. Didn't really travel a lot. And OC Girl went on our first trip to Japan in 2004, 2005, around that time frame. And I will say, I was definitely not a veteran traveler on that trip, because I was concerned I was going to be really hungry in Japan, and so I brought like a whole bunch of power bars with me on the trip to eat. I found I didn't have to because the food there is actually really delicious, and ever since that trip, I've been bit, and we traveled the world together, which is a whole lot of fun. All right, so thank you for the question. Bryce Kelly asks, where is the favorite place you have gone? I have many favorite places, and actually I sort of break my favorite places down into like favorite places in Asia, favorite places in Europe, and then maybe favorite places in the US. But in Asia, I love Tokyo, Japan. I love Singapore. Taiwan is great as well. Hong Kong was great before the protests, and maybe when those go back, Hong Kong will be great again, because I love dim sum. In Europe, some of my favorite cities are Vienna, Austria, Rome, Italy, and Prague in the Czech Republic. And in the U.S., well, I always love going to Hawaii, so I always love going to Oahu. And obviously, you all love my videos on Las Vegas, and I end up there quite a bit. And I'll say I certainly enjoy it. And I enjoy making the videos on it. Venkata asks, is Treasure Island a good hotel in Las Vegas? I think it is a decent hotel. Vladimir says, we want to see OC Girl. Well, she loves to be behind the camera, so you'll have to talk to her about that. Ken says, and maybe you can talk to her in the chat. Like if you leave a question, like she'll totally leave a comment right behind. Ken says, I'm staying at Nomad in 2 weeks. Is it worth it? It depends what rate you got for the Nomad, Ken. We stayed there on a pretty reasonable rate. It was like maybe $150 or something. I think it was worth it for that price because it was, center strip. If you are paying more than that, then I think it's way too much. The Uniplex says, hope you and OC Girl had a wonderful 2020. We sure did, the Uniplex. And by the way, your Panda submission was one of the early Panda travelers to Las Vegas, so appearing soon in some Vegas videos. Okay. Next question. Bonkers About Alice says, how many days should I stay in San Francisco for sightseeing, as I've heard it's expensive? I would say a minimum of 3 days. You could probably fill up 5 days of stuff. I like to do San Francisco as a trip where we spend a few days in San Francisco, then rent a car and check out Napa, where the wineries are. Then we head down to Santa Cruz, which is a classic beach town, tour Silicon Valley. And so you don't have to do all of that staying in San Francisco, because the hotels in San Francisco are pretty expensive. Fake Heart asks, will I be doing a video on the new Resort World Hotel when it opens? I hope to. Whenever it opens, it keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. Now it's 2020 or 2021, so I will stand by for that. Seth asks if we can get a knock and a scratch. Yeah, you sure can, Seth. Bryce asks, which apps do I use to find cheap flights, fare drops? I don't really use any apps to subscribe to flight notifications. I'm the kind of person that when I want to go someplace, I just religiously check the flight prices every day, and I kind of pay attention to what I think is a good price and what's an expensive price. But as Shanna Lee says, Kayak is good for finding flights, and Kayak is generally the site that I use to do most of my searches, though if I've narrowed it down to a particular airline, then I will search on their airline too. Burning Health Homestead says they're headed to Vegas and his wife wants to see a burlesque show, but they all seem to have terrible reviews. Do I have any suggestions? I have never seen a burlesque show in Las Vegas, and so unfortunately I have no suggestions for that. Sagiv says, should I go to Vegas in February? If you don't want to go in any swimming pools, then yes. Actually, we like winter as the best time to go to Vegas, so we love the holiday season right here. I think February is good. Just prepare to dress warm because it'll be cold. And yes, since this is a fireside chat today, that's why I'm wearing my fabulous yellow Star Trek robe right here. Mustang, Aaron loves the mug, and Kathy says having a cup of hot tea too. What type of hot tea are you having, Kathy? I'm partial to Earl Grey, though I also like jasmine tea if I'm doing more of a Chinese tea. Gear says, hi Chris, where are you going next? If all things work out, we will be going to Japan for our next trip. Jordan says, you've got to try a Caribbean cruise. We've tried cruising before, and OC Girl kind of gets seasick, so cruises probably aren't super big for us. Mustang Aaron wants to know if there's any more trips to London coming up, even after the sad Topher kidnapping. The Topher kidnapping was very sad. We don't have anything scheduled to London, but we don't have anything against London either, other than to make sure that next time we go, our possessions will never leave our arms anytime. Hector wants to know, what is the best Vegas show? My favorite show in Vegas is the Blue Man Group. Caleb says he's going to Vegas in May, staying at Bally's. It's not on my best or worst list. What do you think about that hotel? I would put it in the bottom 25% of hotels. It's an old hotel. It is center strip. It's not going to be great, but you're probably not paying all that much for it. So that's what you'll get with Bally's. Matt asks, have you ever considered making travel podcasts, listening to your videos while driving for work? But a podcast would be great. You know, I have thought about it, and I've done a couple of podcasts with Ben from the Travel Man podcast in Australia. I just sort of run out of time in the day to do videos and podcasts, and so I basically prioritized my time to try to do more videos, and yeah, I figure related to listening while driving to work, well, the live streams I try to do is things that you could listen to for an hour that you could turn on to audio. So I hope that works out for you. Tanner asks if we have any interest in visiting Canada. We absolutely do. We would like to go to Vancouver. OC Girl's been there. I have yet to go there. And so we do hope to visit Canada. I've been to Canada. It's funny. It's our neighbor to the north, right, in the U.S. I've been to, what's the city? Halifax on the East Coast. I was there once, and that's all of my Canada experience. SoCal Seth asks, where did I get the mango dessert from my stories? Great question. The mango dessert is from, it's called Hui Lao Shan, Huilaushan. It's a Hong Kong-based mango dessert chain, but they've opened one location in Southern California, in Irvine, California. So we went there. They have a couple locations in New York City. They have a couple locations in Seattle, and they're expanding in more around the U.S. They are really good mango desserts if you like mango desserts. And Moises says he likes Bally's and says it's fairly cheaper than most. All right, thanks, Moises, for that. Diego says, what do you think about the Link in Vegas? I have not heard any good things about the Link in Vegas. Bryce says, where do you think is the best to go to Japan, and when is it the cheapest? Well, Japan is going to be cheapest in the winter, not around the New Year. So you figure like probably November, early December would be cheap. Then as you get closer to Christmas and New Year's, it gets expensive. And then January to February are cheap as well. And then it starts to get more expensive. But related to the best time to go, the best time to go is in spring, late March, early April to see the cherry blossoms, or fall to see the fall colors change around September or October. And I guess Bryce also asked, where do you think it's best to go? Oh, and you didn't, well, when is it the cheapest? I mean, it depends what you want to do, but I love Tokyo. So you could just you could spend a whole week in Tokyo. If you want to travel a little bit more, what I recommend is kind of a basic first trip. Fly into Tokyo, spend a few days in Tokyo, take the bullet train to Hakone, which is kind of this mountain resort town, spend a couple days there, then continue on the bullet train to Osaka and take a couple day trips to Kyoto and Nara to see the deer, and then fly home from Osaka. That's my recommended first time in Japan trip if you really want the full Japanese experience and you're more adventuresome than just wanting to do Tokyo. SoCal Seth asks if he should get us some Lee Hing Mui on Oahu. Yeah, I actually think from our last trip we have a supply, but I really do appreciate the offer. And by the way, that's like so like they make these mangoes and they put this like powder on it. They are really good. Kathy asks when I'm going to Hawaii again. Nothing planned at the moment, but I always enjoy Hawaii. Gloria asks if I do meet and greets. I'm going to answer this two ways, and I'll say that I do meet and greets when I'm out and about and people find me. I love being spotted by fans. It actually happens a lot in Las Vegas where people come up and say, hey, you're the guy from Yellow Productions, and I love it. And I always hand people one of my Yellow Productions business cards. If you haven't seen what those look like, I guess here's a little behind the scenes on that. So this is my Yellow Productions business card. So anybody who ever spots me, I always hand them one of these. So if they ever want to tell somebody to say, hey, I saw this guy, then they actually have a little card that finds me, and then it has all my information there in the back. But you all are watching this, so you already know that. Tanner says, would you want to do some fan meetups or events? You know, if you've got ideas for, like, and I've thought about it, and I don't know what that looks like, really. Is that, like, going to a coffee shop and hanging out? Is that going to a food court and hanging out? I don't know. I would not be adverse to it. It would be great to meet more of you in person. I just haven't got over that hump of exactly what that looks like or what that is. Louis the Five says, LA, Vancouver in February, worth it. I can't comment on Vancouver. Maybe OC Girl could, but I think LA is good pretty much any time of year, as long as you're not planning to go to the beach in February, because the beaches will not be busy. Bill says, are you a Star Trek fan too? I know there was a reason I like you. Lol, you love Earl Grey hot. Are you Picard? I'm not Picard, but I do like Picard, and yes, I am a Star Trek fan as well. Bryce asks if I'll ever go to the Middle East. I'm sure we will someday. No immediate plans, though. Alan says, any suggestions on a Grand Canyon tour? Book or rent a car and drive from Vegas on our own. You know, I'm not a big fan of organized tours, and so if it was me, I would book and rent a car and drive from Vegas. Just more flexibility, and you're not stuck with a whole group. Though, if you're going to do that, make sure you get to the Grand Canyon early in the morning, because the Grand Canyon gets pretty busy. Tanner says, which cities in Texas would you like to visit the most? So maybe I'll answer this in the cities I've been to in Texas. I've been to Dallas, Fort Worth, been to Austin, we've been to San Antonio, Houston, and then this little town called Round Top, Texas. And it depends what you're looking for in Texas. I mean, Dallas and Houston, they're big capital cities. I think San Antonio and Austin are kind of neat just as like small cities. I really love the San Antonio Riverwalk, and I love the barbecue in all of those places, frankly. If you do go to Texas, make sure you eat at this barbecue chain called Rudy's Country Store. It's our favorite barbecue, particularly for the barbecue brisket, the brisket meat. And in Texas, they'll have two kinds of brisket. They'll have what they call lean brisket, and then they'll have moist brisket. The moist brisket is the fatty brisket. That's the best brisket because it's the most tasty and delicious. Jordan asks if the Grand Canyon and Strip helicopter flight are worth the money. You have a lot of it. We've never done it because we don't have that much money. Chris56559 says, happy holidays, Chris and OC Girl. I wanted to let you know your positivity and laid-back videos have helped me get through some devastating family events during the holiday season. Thank you. Oh, Chris559, I'm sorry to hear you had some devastating family events, but thank you for the kind words about the positivity. I love to bring positivity to you and the world. SoCal Seth says, we need to get you up to 1 million subscribers so you can travel full-time. Well, wouldn't that be fun? Gloria says, how do the yellow radishes taste? So the yellow radishes are typically pickled, and I don't know, I'd have a hard time describing how yellow radishes they taste like yellow radishes, but that picture on yellow radishes, and so for those of you who follow my Facebook page and my YouTube community posts, I posted this picture of yellow radishes, and we were at a Korean restaurant the other day, and I said our trip to Korea ruined yellow radishes for us forever, because when we were in Korea a couple of months ago, we stayed at a Korean temple, and in this Korean temple, we had to do everything the Buddhist monk way, which meant that after we ate all of our food, they gave us this little slice of yellow radish, that we used this yellow radish to basically clean all of our dishes like it was a sponge, and sponge it off, wash it off, put all the water and kind of the leftover food from all the dishes into one, and then they're like, now you need to drink that leftover water and eat the radish. And so that's why I'll never look at one of those radishes the same again. QWERTY Pop is Father Christmas. Well, welcome Father Christmas, and a Merry Christmas to you, Father. Peteri says, I'm coming to LA, San Francisco, Vegas, and the Grand Canyon. Your videos have been very helpful. Travel plannings, greetings from Finland, Europe. Peteri, thank you for joining the live stream from Finland. We want to go to Finland. We haven't made it there yet. We've done kind of all the other Scandinavian countries, but haven't quite made it over to Finland, but we would love to come. Let's see. Robert says he has cerebral palsy. Any tips for getting a bigger seat on an airplane? If you have like a medical condition and you require an additional seat, many airlines will either give you an additional seat for free, or like if the plane isn't full. So like Southwest Airlines, for example, has a policy where if you need another seat for a medical condition, you can tell them, they'll charge you for that second seat, but then if the flight isn't full, then they'll essentially refund you the price of that seat, since nobody would have sat there anyway. I would just suggest calling up the airline you intend to fly, explain your situation, and see what they can do with you, because every airline's a little bit different. And Tanner says everything in Japan could be more expensive than usual because of the Olympic Games. Just be aware of that. Yes, we are planning to go well before the Olympics, but I appreciate the tip. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, and so Ken pointed out that the Nomad Hotel, he's staying there really cheap. Like it was like $160 4 nights all in. So I think that's a really good price, and that's certainly worth it. Moises says, any thoughts of visiting Santa Barbara? We've been to Santa Barbara a few times. We like Santa Barbara. It's a pretty neat city. For those who don't know, Santa Barbara is in California. It's kind of halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and maybe a third of the way closer to Los Angeles. It's a really big, almost, I'd call it like rich retirement community. I think like Oprah has a house there. It's a neat coastal town. It has a neat wharf. It has a neat main street. I would say Santa Barbara is good for like max 2-night stay. It's great as like an overnight stay if you're going between LA and San Francisco exploring the California coast. Mustang Aaron says we should definitely come to Vancouver because that's where she lives. Thank you. We hope to. And we also hear the Chinese food is really good there. And as many of you know, we love Chinese food, particularly dim sum. Saffron says, so fun to see you doing this. I bet Rick is proud. That's my dad, Electric Rick. Does your dad help you with your productions? And did you get your love of this from him? Great question. So I would say when I was younger, my dad helped with a lot of my productions. My dad is definitely the one that turned me on to video productions. Actually, when I was a wee little one, and I don't know whether I was like 5 years old or something, but my dad would shoot video of me doing this show called Christopher's World. And maybe when I get to 200,000 subscribers for my 200,000 subscriber celebration, I'm going to, with my dad's help, dig a Christopher's World episode out of the archive and share that with you guys. And so I've been at least in front of the camera and doing video. My dad was a professional videographer, and so he would take me out on shoots with him of like weddings and things like that, where I would run the second camera. And obviously being small, running the second camera was like, son, can you stand in front of this tripod and make sure the camera doesn't turn off or fall over? And if it runs out of tape or batteries, could you replace those? Aye, I can do that. My dad doesn't really love to travel a lot, and so I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't in front of him because he's likely watching this, and if he's not watching the live stream, he's going to watch the archive, and so I don't know that I got my love of travel from my dad, but I did get the love of video, and so it's often OC Girl who's running the camera behind the scenes, and also provides, OC Girl is my wife, by the way, and provides some of the creative direction for the show. Most of the editing I typically just do right here on my own on this fireplace right here. Ooh, it's nice and toasty and warm by the fire today. Lynn's joined in from Fort Lauderdale. Welcome, Lynn. Acer wants to know, what up, dude? It's the sky. The sky is definitely what up. Welcome, Acer. Mark says, have I had any kettle corn in the U.S.? If so, where is the best? So my favorite popcorn in the U.S. is from, oh, what's the name of the place? It's from Chicago. It's from Chicago. What's the name of the place? It starts with a G. Garrett's Popcorn. Garrett's Popcorn, they're in Chicago. They're in a number of other places. If you go to Las Vegas, they have a location in Planet Hollywood. So get the popcorn from Garrett's. It's the best I've had in the U.S. There's another kind of like, it's a chain that has some stores in like shopping malls called Popcornopolis. And you can also buy them at Costco in these bags. I would say that is a pretty close second to Garrett's. You'll find them in more places in the U.S. I really love the zebra popcorn from Popcornopolis. It has like caramel and white chocolate and dark chocolate together. It's really good. The Uniplex asked if I would do YouTube and travel full-time if I could. It sounds like a lot of fun. I would say that I think my subscriber count and my views have to be like... They have to be like out of this world, because there's a lot of people, I would say a lot of the YouTubers that you see that travel full-time and do this full-time, if you actually find out how much they make from it, it's really not very much. I mean, I know that there are these stories about how much YouTubers make, and I'll tell you, while don't get me wrong, I'm super appreciative of the ad revenue from YouTube, and I appreciate all of you who watch the videos and watch the ads and click on the ads and those sorts of things. But it really kind of covers our expenses related to equipment and some of those things, and we're not certain. As many of you know, I have a full-time office job that actually supports us. But it would certainly be fun, like doing something like, you know, Anthony Bourdain, right? Like that would be. Sure, that'd be neat. Ken says, which island in Hawaii do you recommend? Great, there's a lot of Hawaiian islands, and I would narrow it down to like 3. So this is either a discussion of do you want to go to Oahu, do you want to go to Maui, or do you want to go to Kauai? And my preference of those 3 is Oahu. I like the food on Oahu. There's more to do on Oahu. But if you don't like crowds, you won't like Oahu, because Oahu can be pretty crowded. Waikiki can be pretty crowded. Maui's kind of like a great honeymooners island if you're looking for hotels that are like right on the beach. Our favorite hotel in the world, the Andaz Maui Hotel, is located in Maui. We love that. We love the beach in front of it. Also, the Waldorf Astoria in Maui is really great. And if you're like a nature buff, then definitely Kauai. I will say we are not nature buffs, and so we find Kauai to be a little bit boring. It's like an island where like 6 o'clock, the lights turn off, and in Kauai, I think there's more chickens on the island than there are people, and the chickens free roam around the island, which is like super weird. Lynn says, related to meet and greets, I think a meet and greet in Florida would be fair, Mr. West Coast. That'd be fun. If I'm ever in Florida, I will do that. Manuel's joined in from Germany. Thanks, Manuel, for coming in from Germany. Jeff says, I like your videos on Disneyland and Universal Studios. Have you ever been to Cedar Point? I've not, but that'd be fun. I love theme parks, and I know Cedar Point's like one of like the mega theme parks out there. Chris wants to know if they'll be coming to Perth, Australia. I'd like to. In Australia, I've been to Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, the end. Those 3 cities. So I'd love to explore more of Australia. Australia just like, it's a super long way from California or almost anywhere, and so I don't end up there as often as I might like. Louise says, what is Detroit like? Flying in there to then go to Ann Arbor. Yeah. May, you're going in May, so that's a good time of year to go for the weather. And I guess if you're just flying through the airport, it's all good. I don't know that, like, Detroit's a really great, what's the word I'm looking for? That city for touristy things? Steven Stereo says, fun stream. Hey, thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. And it's all fun because all of you are here asking great questions, too. So keep up the questions. And by the way, if you're like, why aren't you getting to my question? I'm looking at timestamps of questions that I'm responding to. I'm about 10 minutes behind. But I want to answer all of your questions. So Acer says, when are you going to Ireland? We were in Ireland maybe 5 years ago. Like if you search for Yellow Productions Dublin, you'll see our video from Ireland. So probably not anytime again real soon. We want to go to Scotland next in that region. And Moises responded to my Texas comment that Rudy's is the best barbecue chain in Texas. Love the brisket, turkey breast, and the cream corn is delicious. I agree. David says, hello from San Diego. Ran into you at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I remember you, David, and hopefully you found yourself in that video because you appeared in the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge walkthrough. Matt gave some answers about Detroit. Thank you very much. I love when you all answer other people's questions. That's great because I have not been to every place in the world, and I learn from all of you as well. Jordan says, I'm going to Vegas, San Francisco, and New York in August. If you could only do one thing in each, what would they be? Huh. If I could only do one thing in Vegas, I would eat at a buffet. I would eat either at the Bellagio buffet, the Wynn buffet, or the Cosmopolitan buffet. Going to San Francisco, if I could only do one thing, I would ride the cable car. And I would stand on the edge of the cable car. And going to New York City, I would visit I'd visit the Statue of Liberty. And if you're going to visit the Statue of Liberty, you have to reserve tickets like well in advance to go up into the top thing. SoCal Seth asks if we've been to Hiro Nori Craft Ramen in Long Beach. Yes. Yes, I'm hearing yes. We have been to Hiro Nori Craft Ramen in Long Beach. In Irvine, not in Long Beach. And I remember it was good. We go to so many ramen restaurants that they kind of blend together a little bit. But OC Girl is like the ramen expert, so we're going to be eating ramen again tomorrow, in case you're wondering. Jen says, thanks so much for recommending Earl of Sandwich. We were in Vegas 2 weeks ago and really enjoyed the cheap eats. Wish we had one local to us in Ohio. Earl of Sandwich is pretty good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jen. Thank you very much. Earl of Sandwich is one of the few places that when they advertise something like World's Best, I think it's actually true. The slogan at Earl of Sandwich is World's Best Hot Sandwich. And usually when I see places that say like World's Best anything, I'm usually like, oh, this is going to be bad. This won't be good at all. But they're quite good. So that is not false advertising. Let's see. Kathy says, when you go to Japan, can you do more videos on Disneyland and Disney Sea as well as the Universal Studios Japan, as there's a new Mario Land opening up. We are going in January 2021. Wow, that sounds cool. We probably won't be going to Universal Studios Japan. We will be going at least to the Disneyland gift shop to pick up something, and so I'll think about what I can do sort of on the outskirts of Disneyland as a video, because we're not actually going to go in this time, because most of our time on this trip will be outside of Tokyo, but those sound pretty fun. Matt says, I've never taken a flight out of the country. You should do a video on good preparation and tips, that kind of travel, and a pro when it comes to domestic, but international travel and is different. Matt, I've done a video on like airport travel tips. If you look for it, let's see, maybe I'll try to find this video so I can drop a link in the comments for you. Airport travel tips. Airport travel tips. Airport tips. Airport travel tips. 20 things to know before you fly was a video that I did basically with that in mind for people who have never traveled before, and I do international and this and that. I just dropped the link in the comment section if you want to check that out in the chat. All right. Kathy says, may I ask a question? I'm going to be stuck at Las Vegas Airport. Is there anything close by that I could do on New Year's close to the airport? I have a 5-hour delay. Yeah, I mean, the Strip is not far from Las Vegas Airport. So with 5 hours, assuming you don't have luggage, you could take a taxi from the airport to the Strip and you could wander around the Strip for a little bit. I mean, probably one of the closest hotels to get to would be like maybe the MGM Grand or the New York, and just wander around the Strip for like an hour before you go back. Totally doable. It's like a 15-minute drive from Las Vegas Airport to the Strip. Just be aware sometimes the security line at Las Vegas Airport can be really long. Steve says, if I ever come to Toronto, he would love a selfie. I'll let you know, Steve. Dean says, where are your favorite ryokans in Japan? I used to live in Kobe for 5 years and often went to Arima Onsen and ryokan in Kyoto area. Our favorite traditional Japanese hotels, so there's like ryokan, for those of you who don't know, that's like a word for traditional Japanese hotel. Typically you sleep on tatami mats. They often have like onsens, which are hot springs. Our favorite ones were probably some we stayed in on our last trip to Japan, which was on the southern part of Japan in Kyushu. We stayed in 3 that were there that were really nice. If you search for my Kyushu playlist, you'll find reviews for 3 of them there. There was one we stayed in a town that I don't remember. It was near Beppu, but it was in the mountains, and to get from the lobby to the rooms, you had to go over this wooden rope bridge. I mean, it was super neat. The whole hotel only had 20 rooms, and it was $400 a night, but that included dinner and breakfast and access to the onsen. So great experience. I would highly recommend for those of you going to Japan, if you're okay with sleeping on the floor, and I know that many people look at that and going, I don't know about that, and I thought the same thing, but go and experience it. It's amazing. And you could ask for multiple futon mattresses to make it a bit softer for you. Gear says, how old were you when you first went to Las Vegas, and how was it? I don't remember how old I was. I was too young to remember how old I was. I would go there with my parents on a fairly regular basis. The first hotel we stayed at in Las Vegas, if my memory serves me correctly, is the Circus Hotel. Which, just to be clear, we probably would not stay there today. W Shakes says, hey Chris and OC Girl, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Your travel enthusiasm is awesome. What is the other office site you have? Do you mean my second channel, the Office Survival Guide? For those who don't know, right, because I have that full-time office job, my second channel I started up this year, it's called the Office Survival Guide, with all sorts of tips to help you not just survive the office week, but to give you the skills you need to crush it in the office. Things like how to prepare a resume, yes, there are stupid questions to ask at work, how to stay awake in boring meetings. You want to find that, just search for the Office Survival Guide and you will find it. Gloria says Las Vegas should sponsor us. I would love that. That'd be fun. W Shakes asks if we've been to the Oahu Disney Spa. We have been to the Aulani Hotel, which is the Disney hotel in Oahu in the neighborhood of Ko'olina. We have not been to the spa inside. David says, I'm literally never awake at the same time you're live except today. Hooray, I'm glad you could join in, David. Part of the reason why I was doing this a special time is I know that 8 p.m. Los Angeles time doesn't work for everybody, so I was hoping with 3 o'clock it'd be better for some folks, so thanks for tuning in and stopping by. Let's see. Nick says, I'm going to Las Vegas soon. Thanks for your helpful tips. Is there some place you want to go that you haven't been yet? There's a lot of places that I would like to go that we haven't been to yet. If I were to pick well, I mentioned earlier, I mentioned Scotland. There's a whole bunch of Japan that we haven't been to yet. We recently did Bangkok, Thailand, and it made us want to explore more of Thailand. So those are a few of the places we want to go to that we have not been to yet. Tomasero says, kind regards from Ostrava, Czech Republic, and big thanks for all the great videos. Tomasero, ahoy to you. If you don't know, I'm half Czech, and so I hope you're enjoying your Knedliki and Svichkova. Ahoy. Philippe's joined in from El Centro, California. That's about, 200 miles east of San Diego? 120 miles east of San Diego? Something like that. Chris559 says, hey, do you still feel the Marriott Rewards credit card is the best deal out there? We're also looking into the world of Hyatt credit card. It'll be our first hotel credit card. Great question, Chris. First of all, I would recommend you search for Yellow Productions Best Credit Cards. I have a whole video that I talk about what I think the best credit cards are for 2019. Spoiler alert, I'll tell you what the top one is. The Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Those are my recommendations for the best cards for travel, so you can get the best earnings. You can transfer it to a lot of different partners. It's a lot better than the Marriott card. The reason you'd want to have the Marriott card is to get the elite nights when you're staying at Marriott's. I have multiple Marriott credit card. I have 3 Marriott credit cards. I have the personal card. I had the Starwood card, and then I have the business Marriott card. The Starwood card converted to a Marriott card, and I had them because they would earn elite nights, and then I get the free night certificate to stay in a Marriott every year, and so that kind of pays for itself, but I don't put much spend on it because it doesn't earn all that much. Katie says, hey, when are you going to Colorado? I'm going on January 23rd, and I would love to see you there. Katie, I don't know when I'll be in Colorado next, but probably not on January 23rd. All right, but I hope you enjoy it. Justin says, is it a bad idea to do a day trip to the Big Island from Honolulu? I don't think it's a bad idea. The flights are short, and actually, I think it's better to do some of the islands like that as day trips than it is to move. Sometimes people say, hey Chris, I'm going to Hawaii for a week. What 2 islands should I do? And I generally say, don't do 2 islands in a week, because the time you spend checking out of your hotel, checking in your luggage, picking up another rental car, yada yada yada, it kills all the time, and almost like hopping islands if you're checking out and checking in takes a whole day. So yeah, I think a day trip is totally doable. Tanner says, speaking of Sprinkles Cupcakes from my Vegas Cheap Eats video, we just got one in Dallas Fort Worth and it's amazing. That's great. Tanner, what's your favorite cupcake from Sprinkles Cupcake? Mine is the red velvet cupcake or the carrot cake cupcake. But we also like to do the seasonal cupcakes. CJ says, what name did you pick for the Tophers? We have not picked yet. You know, if you haven't noticed this, we're indecisive when it comes to big decisions. So that's still out there. I think I'm going to collect all the top names, and I'm going to actually put those to a vote or poll, and we'll see what the collective name for the Tophers are. Barbara Arsenal says, Chris, what's your ranking of Hyatt hotels in Tokyo? I've not stayed at all of the Hyatt hotels in Tokyo, but I would say probably the best one that we've stayed at is the Andaz Hotel in Tokyo. People love the Park Hyatt in Shinjuku. I think the Park Hyatt's kind of out of the way. As a side note about Tokyo, we generally don't stay in American chain hotels in Tokyo because the value just really isn't there. They're way more expensive than what they're worth from a comparable Japanese chain. Now that being said, when we stayed at the Andaz, we stayed there on points, and so go for it. If you have Hyatt points in your booking, I would suggest the Tokyo Station Hotel. It's a hotel that's inside Tokyo Station. They've recently, because they're part of the small leading hotels of the world, you can now redeem your Hyatt points for that. So check that one out. E. Lee says, is there anything to do in Disney Orlando Hollywood Studios other than the Star Wars area? I'm going in 2 weeks. My other favorite thing in that theme park, there's a roller coaster in there that's like a rock band or Aerosmith themed. It's dark. It does this loop. That's pretty fun. That's my second favorite thing to do in that theme park. Though I also really love you're going to Disney World, make sure you go into the animal theme park, the Animal Kingdom at Disney World. And if you like roller coasters, ride the roller coaster there. That is probably my favorite Disney roller coaster. Not probably. That is my favorite Disney roller coaster. Question, hi, I'm from Brazil. I'm going to the UK. Do you have any tips for me? Yeah, my tip for you would be to watch my London series. I probably got 10 or 15 videos about London. Just search for Yellow Productions London and you'll find a whole bunch of videos. One of our favorite places to go around London was Oxford. So make sure you check out Oxford and do a walking tour while you're there. C. Dell provides season's greetings from the world down under. Welcome, C. Dell, from the world of kangaroos and koalas. Let's see. We have someone joining in from Kobe. Hey, thanks for joining in from Kobe. I appreciate it. Tanner says, what city, country in South America would interest you the most? Peru seems really interesting. Chile sounds very interesting. We haven't made it down there because it's one of those where South America or Latin America seems close to Southern California, but like nearly all the flights go through Texas, and so it just ends up being a really long haul, and so we don't make it down there as much as we think we would. Wu Taiwan says, I love the Fireside Chat. Do you like old Los Angeles or new Los Angeles? Hey, thanks, Wu Taiwan. Yeah, we got the fire right here, and then we got the live streaming right back here, so you can see it's like me like 3 times probably in there or something like that. I don't know. I like... I mean, like in downtown LA, I like the new downtown LA better than the old downtown LA because it's becoming less sketchy. And I like the air in the new LA better than the old LA because the old LA was like full of smog, and every time I would go to LA 30 years ago, my eyes would burn and they'd be red. So I think LA is a lot better now than it is then, though the homeless problem keeps getting worse and worse and worse. SoCal Seth says, this year's trip to Hawaii, we're flying out of LAX, so driving out there, I'd heard that Hiro Nori was a good spot. I think it is a good spot. I think you'll enjoy it. And Wu Taiwan says, my second channel, the Office Survival Guide, is awesome. So thanks, Wu Taiwan. So for those of you, if you've not headed over there yet, well, do so once this video is over, and you can check out some fun videos. Kathy says, can we see and meet your wife? Exclamation mark, hand, hand, hand. Well, I'm sure she heard your request, and I think she continues to like to be behind the scenes. King Cobra says, will you do the best vegan plant-based food guides? Maybe in Vegas would be nice. It's almost 2020, time to stop eating animals and save the planet. King Cobra, you know, it's just nothing against vegan or plant-based foods. They're just really not my thing. And so I think somebody who does like vegan or plant-based diet would be better at doing a video like that than I would. Or maybe I need to do it. Maybe I need to do it. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe I need to do it as like a collaboration with somebody that actually enjoys vegan food. Trick Art Museum says, if I invite you to my new business, would you be able to come? I don't know, where is your new business, Trick Art Museum? Let's see. Jeff says, if you come to Pittsburgh, you have to go to Primanti Bros once. Only place you get french fries and coleslaw on the sandwich. All right. I've been to Pittsburgh before, though I didn't go there. And by the way, I love Martin Taylor's response to that comment, which was, I'll come to your business, what do you want me to do? I'll tell jokes and stuff. That was hilarious. As I said, I love it when there's like dialogue in the comments. SoCal Seth wants to know, how come Barry doesn't get screen time? Oh, well, Barry's in the other room. But here we've got one of the Topher submissions. I think Barry might be joining us here. He's got to get some transport. We've got one of the Topher submissions. This is the one that came all the way from Japan, hanging out right here on top of the fireplace. There we go. All right. And Barry has come in from the living room right there. SoCal Seth, here you go. Here's Barry. He'll join me for a little bit. This panda, you know, he's not sure whether he's a panda or whether he's a polar bear. We have a lot of stuffed animals that are kind of like this, that they're like confused or like they really want to be a different stuffed animal. So, and there was I did a live stream previously from a different room in our house where we have the Christmas tree, which is it's over there, and we had a bunch of these animals back there, and I was counting out the names of them, and someone said, what's the name of that? And SoCal said, so why don't we call him Barry? So there you go. Let's put Barry right there. All right, I'll get some screen time. Scottish Wanderlust asked if a day trip from LA to San Diego is doable. It is doable. It's far, though. It depends what part of LA you're in. If you're like in like Disneyland and you're in like Anaheim, I think it's reasonable. If you're staying in downtown LA, it's rough because the traffic is pretty rough. Let's see. And Wu Taiwan says, I'm right on New LA. All right, thank you, Wu Taiwan. Gordon says, I loved your video on Zion National Park. Yeah, we were there just this time last year, so thank you very much. Do you ever think of doing other national park videos? I am sure we will be doing other national park videos. We don't have anybody, we don't have any planned at the moment, but you can certainly expect some in the future, I believe. Khaled says, do you recommend visiting Anata no Warehouse in Tokyo. I have never been there, so I have no recommendation on that. The Uniplex says, you know you're a fan of Yellow Productions when you know who Topher is and who OC Girl is and who MacGyver is. That's right. Everything's got a code name and a special name. So indeed, you know you're a fan if you know all of those. And if you don't know the last one, you don't know MacGyver. MacGyver is our bunny who often sits right down here in the studio. He's outside today running around out in our backyard. And OC Girl's just checking on him to make sure he's still there, which he should be. Taiwan says, if Anthony Bourdain did not like vegan food, well, then nope. Scottish Wanderlust asks, what age am I? I am in my late 30s. Anna Chen says, hi Chris, appreciate the travel videos. What hotels do you recommend for Tokyo Disney? So my recommendation, I mean, if you're just going to Tokyo Disney, there's like a few hotels that are around there. There's like a Hyatt, and there's some other things that are in that, like, they call it like Tokyo Bay or something like. There's like a Hilton. So I would just stay right there. The other option, if you're going to do Tokyo Disney, but you're going to do other things in Tokyo, is I'd recommend staying in a hotel near Tokyo Station because it's about a 15-minute train ride from Tokyo Station to Tokyo Disney with no transfers. If for some reason you had to stay at like an American chain hotel, there's a Courtyard by Marriott that I really like by Tokyo Station. If you got a lot of money, and I mean like $500 a night, then Tokyo Station Hotel is pretty nice, but that one is not cheap. King Cobra says, which rewards program do you prefer in Vegas? M Life or Total Rewards? Thanks. I prefer M Life because I just generally like the MGM hotels better. That's kind of where I end up staying. And also M Life has a partnership with Hyatt. So Trick Art Museum says his business is in Santa Monica. You know, I don't have my email up here, but if you go to my new website, I just stood up this website. It's chrisraney.com, so CHRISRANEY.com. There's a little form there that you can fill out to like send a message. Send a message to me there, and why don't we take this offline? Because probably can't have this too much on this live stream. And maybe we'll invite somebody to tell jokes too. That might be fun. E. Lee says, at Singapore's Lau Pa Sat, do you get satay in sets of 10, or can I get less? I don't remember if you can get less. Like, when I went there, I got them in sets. I know one place that you can get less, like another great hawker center in Singapore for satay is, it's called Satay by the Bay. It's by the Gardens by the Bay. And at that one, because they're less busy, you can get like one stick of whatever you want. So I would check that out too. And if you've watched my Singapore Hawker Center video, one of the ones I show in there is the Satay by the Bay Hawker Center. Gloria says, I really appreciate your channel. I appreciate how you take time to prepare your videos by outlining your topics, editing, and being positive and polite, very professional. Thank you, Gloria. I appreciate it. You know, one of the things I often say about YouTube videos, and because I started doing this because I would go on YouTube, I'd look for videos, and I was just like, all these videos don't have any information on them. Like, they're sort of about somebody's trip, and I get it, but it's a scene of like somebody in a waterfall, and I don't know where it is. I'm like, I'd like to go to that waterfall, but where is it? And so my goal with making these videos is try to be, well, I think you're watching it not as much to see about my vacation, but you're watching it to see what you want to do for your vacation. And so I'm glad they're helpful. Thank you very much, Gloria. W. Shake says, any ski trips, Mammoth, Tahoe? We've never been to Mammoth. We did Tahoe. I think Tahoe's a real great ski destination. And then for us, from Southern California, we flew into Sacramento, ran in a car, and drove from there. Got some snow chains. Matt says, if you ever want to get away from the hustle and bustle and want to relax, Mackinac City and Island are beautiful, historic, and of course the yummy fudge. All right, thanks for the tip, Matt. Kathy says, did you go to Pearl Harbor in Hawaii? Was it worth it? How long would we need to spend there? Two answers to that question. It depends on whether you want to go to the USS Arizona Memorial I've never done that. We've never done that because you have to get up early and get in line for tickets. So the tickets are, I think they're free or they're inexpensive, but they run out. And if you do the USS Arizona Memorial, they take you out into like the middle of Pearl Harbor. You go on this little thing, so I guess you can look down and see the USS Arizona. We went there and we did the tour of we saw, you can go to this like viewing platform and see where it is, and then we did a tour of the USS Missouri, which is like one of the battleships that there. It's called the Mighty Mo. It has the deck of the ship is made out of wood. That was pretty fun. If you want to do that, just view Pearl Harbor from the viewing platform and the Mighty Mo, I think you could do that in 3 hours. That'd be my recommendation. You could do that after breakfast, before lunch. Alan says, do you have a suggestion for staying in Las Vegas at some place like the Marriott Grand Chateau but at a lower price point? No, I don't. If you like the Marriott Grand Chateau, it's pretty reasonable. It's $200. There's no places like it that are a lot cheaper. I mean, my second recommendation would be at some of the Residence Inns, but they're going to be a little farther away from the Strip, not as close to walk, but they'll probably be cheaper. Mustang Aaron says, you have a bunny, me too, what breed of rabbit? Our breed of rabbit is a Holland Lop. And if you want to see more of our rabbit has an Instagram page. And the Instagram page for our rabbit, right here, hopefully this doesn't wonk out my white balance, but the Instagram page for our rabbit is MacGyver the Bunny, and it's Mac Guyver, G-Y-V-E-R, no U in that, _ the bunny. So if you search for that, you'll find it. All right, now the white balance is going to be all off because I put up that white, bright thing to the camera. BF Delano says, have you done trips or traveling outside of Vegas, like going to Rachel, Nevada? Not yet. I think I need to. That was a suggestion somebody made just recently, so I think I'll start putting a script together for that. Wu Taiwan asks, is it possible to use YouTube experience to get a travel job? I am sick of being stuck in the Midwest. Possibly. I don't know that I have a good answer for you, because I have not used this to parlay into other jobs. Goddess says, hey, where are you traveling to next? Sorry, I missed this earlier in the chat. Our next trip will be to Japan. We are thinking. Danny Lowe says, Chris, are you planning to visit Tokyo for the 2020 Olympics? We are not, because we think it'll be way too busy and way too expensive. All right, so we have a couple more minutes left of this live stream, 3 more minutes. For those of you who are on this live stream regularly, you will know that I always give away some Yellow Productions merchandise on the live streams. And so today, and when I say merchandise, you can't buy it. It's more like Yellow Productions swag. So today I'm going to give away a fancy Yellow Productions t-shirt. Not this one, because this is a vintage one when Yellow Productions still had 2 W's. By the way, sometimes people ask about this and say, Chris, why is it that sometimes your shirts have 2 W's and why is it they have 1? Well, when I first named the channel, I made it Yellow Productions, Yellow Productions Presents. But then anytime anybody typed this in to the YouTube search box, YouTube would auto-correct it and be like, you must have misspelled that. You must mean yellow with 1 W. So it was after a couple years I changed it to just Yellow Productions with 1 W, though I had all the shirts made. So, I still use those shirts. But you'll get a Yellow Productions shirt, and so my question is going to be, what is the last video that I was wearing a Star Trek emblem? Now, if you are a real Yellow Productions fan, you'll be able to tell me what was the last video I did that I was someplace wearing something that had a Star Trek emblem on it. Anyway, the first person who answers that question win a Yellow Productions t-shirt shipped anywhere in the world. All right. King Cobra asks if I have a guide on the best pet-friendly hotels in Vegas. Ooh, I don't. I know La Quinta Hotels usually has a pretty good pet-friendly policy. Residence Inns often do as well, so I would check out those too. Villertai Gaming says, which hotel's the best in Vegas? I think I'm going to go with the Bellagio. Bellagio's pretty good. I like the Wynn, the Encore, and the Palazzo. Those are some of my favorite ones. Right, Wu Taiwan says he just noticed the awesome Kirk bathrobe. Amazing. Right, so, okay, we got some answers rolling into my questions. Let's see, answers. Somebody says Disneyland, which is close but wrong. Comic-Con video, Disneyland. What's new at Disney? The last live chat, Vegas, Disneyland, and Brandon Torres is the winner with Galaxy's Edge. There we go, right there. Galaxy's Edge. We went to opening night of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which was like in June of this year, something like that, and it was cold, and so I wanted to wear something yellow, and so I wore a yellow, not a Star Trek robe, but a yellow Star Trek like hoodie sweatshirt. And the amount of like downvotes I got on that video because people didn't like that was impressive. So Brandon, send me a message on Facebook or an email and let me know what size shirt you would like and where you would like me to send it to. By the way, if you want to send me an email, you can send it to chris@chrisrainey.com, right there. So that'll work. All right. Because I don't have my usual one that I hold up to say chris@yellow.net with 2 W's, since I'm in a different spot. Chris559 says, Chris, I watched your video on pet peeves. You talked about government regulations. Do you feel the same way with those credit card annual fees? Credit card annual fees don't bother me because they're sort of advertised ahead of time. They go up, all those sorts of things. And let's see, last question we're going to ask right here. Actually, 2 questions, and then we're going to call it a wrap. Danny Lowe says, would you consider shopping in Tokyo? Is it a good idea? What would you buy? I think there's a lot of great shopping in Tokyo. I'd buy lots of things. My favorite store in Tokyo is called Tokyu Hands, Tokyu space Hands, or a store called Loft. Check out those 2 stores. They have a lot of neat Japanese products. And Jay asks if I've ever taken a whale watching tour on Maui. I never have. I feel like whale watching just ends up to be more like ocean staring. All right, well, with that, this brings us to the end of our hour, and all good live streams, like all good meetings, begin and end on time, and so this is going to end on time too. So for all of you fellow explorers out there, I want to thank you for joining into the live stream today. If you celebrated Christmas, well, a Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for joining me by the fire, and we'll definitely have a Happy New Year coming up. Next live stream, not currently scheduled, but I would expect one sometime in the new year in 2020. And with that, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to roll